Thank you, Robert. Thank you very much. I am a survivor of a public experience speaking disaster of epic proportions. And it was something that paralyzed my life, my ambitions, my goals for many, many years. It took me a long time to get over what happened to me. And my mission is that no teenager, or no adult for that matter, would go through an experience like I did without the tools to turn that experience around into something positive. So I was 17 when the director of the school came to me and said, Cormac, you're going to be the next president of the student council. So this was fantastic, great news, everybody was happy. 3 months later, he came to me and said, Cormac, as you know, which I didn't, but I should have done, as you know, the football team has won a very important national championship. Tomorrow they're bringing the trophy to present it to the school, and you have to do a speech. So we're talking about 850 boys, maybe 100 teachers. You're talking about 1,000 people. We're also talking about Ireland 20 years ago when even Irish people were leaving. Nobody else was arriving. So this was a very small, closed society. And in that society, I had red hair. It really isn't as common as you think. I had glasses. I was overweight. I was academic. I had a very active discussion going on behind my back and to my face about being gay. And I had to go out and welcome the team back that had just won the football championship. Now, my fear of the director was worse than my fear of doing this. So I knew that I couldn't not appear at the school. So I arrived. Everybody was out in front of me. Now, when I tell you this is burnt into my soul, I can close my eyes and I can see faces that I haven't seen in 20 years in precision. So I walk out, and I had the wonderful idea that I was going to open my speech in Irish, which is a beautiful language, but it was a seriously bad mistake. Because I came to the microphone and I said, Níla cúpla focail agam, which means I only have a few words to say, but as you can imagine, the word focail in Irish sounds very like a famous word in English, and instantly, 1,000 people, and I mean everybody, teachers, I don't pardon you what you did, everybody began to laugh at me. They began to shout at me. They began to shout my name. They began to shout names that weren't my name. 1,000 people and me. So I stood there with my piece of paper. I thought, the only way that this can get worse is if I leave the stage. I said, I have to do this. So I read what was left. My hands were like that. I did it blinded by tears. Finished, ran off the stage, went into the school. There were 2 secretaries there who I'd known most of my life, who stood there trying as best as they could not to laugh in my face, going, son. My history teacher appeared from nowhere. He took my hand. He said, Cormac, congratulations. And when I tell you, I was in a state of shock. And I'm looking at him thinking, the man's not well. Why is he congratulating me? He said, you will never have to face an audience like that again in your life. The worst is over you. But my question is, what would have happened if I at 17 had the tools, if I had the skills to turn that situation around so that those people weren't laughing at me, but that they were laughing with me? What if I had had years of preparation as part of my school curriculum that I could turn around and say, you're laughing at me now, but by the time I'm finished, I'll be laughing at you. Nobody has those skills in the schools that we're in today. Nobody. Unless you're going to a very expensive, very elite school, you are not taught these skills. And you should be asking yourself why, as a society, we permit that. So when we're talking about speaking in public, and it's something that I've heard over and over again in the workshops that I do, there's a very clear separation on how it's considered. So who here, I feel safe asking this, we're in Barcelona, who has heard of Fernando Alonso? Feel free to raise your hands. It's okay, I'm not going to pull you out of the audience. And who would agree, those of you that are sporty, remember the story, I'm not. Who would agree that the man is exceptionally talented at what he does? In his field, he's a talented man. So now ask yourself, what is the basic skill that man has? What is it Fernando Alonso does? He drives a car, no? And hundreds of millions of people every day get into their cars it's an integral part of their life. They don't think, I can only drive this car if I'm Fernando Alonso. They get into the car, and it's a tool in their lives. It's a tool that schools and parents teach them, that they pay money for these children to learn. It's also, unfortunately, as many of you know, a tool that can kill them. And then we have public speaking, where you can really only get killed if the stage collapses, if you're a politician and you get shot. So the chances of dying at public speaking is very, 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 very small, but people aren't learning it. Schools aren't teaching it. Parents aren't saying, you need this as much as you need to know how to drive, because one thing is considered a talent. You can speak in public, it's a talent. The other thing is considered a skill that you can learn. Even if it's a dangerous skill, it's a skill that you can learn. So when we do these workshops, I do them with Lydia and Gabriella, my partners. When we do them, we've done them with adults, we've done them with teenagers. I have to tell the adults in the audience, the teenagers are faster, they're quicker, they're smarter. I'm sorry. It's the reality. We always start with the same question. Why do we fear speaking in public? And I'm sure some of you now are thinking about reasons, and they're normally the same. I'm too nervous, I might forget, I blank, I don't know how to use the space. Essentially, it comes down to, if I go out here, everybody there is going to judge me, and we all have a fear of being judged. The next question we ask is, why is it important? Why should you push through that fear and learn how to do this? And again, you get a lot of varied answers. You get, because for my work, for presentations, for my studies, I think it's a skill that I need. And one day, I was doing a workshop with a teenager, a group, not just one, a group. And he put his hand up and he said, I think it's because of control. And I said to him, well, what do you mean by control? He said, because the person who's in the position of speaking in public controls the audience. And I thought, that's very true. The person who's up here talking has control over all the people out there who are thinking, I don't agree with him, I'm not sure why he's saying that, but I'm not going up there. No? So I can't do what he's doing. So that comes down to being a transfer, a very clear transfer of power, because you're taking a concept that is talent. I can only do this because I've been born to do it. I could never learn it. A concept that's control. If I can do this, and very few of us can, I can control the scenario, and you put those together, and that is an extraordinarily explosive mixture. That means that the people who are out there who feel that they can't come up here have just transferred enormous power to the people that are up here and that are doing it. So if we went back to school, where we can learn things, as you know, one of the things we learn is Shakespeare, at least where I come from. And Shakespeare, like driving, if you happen to be a character in a Shakespeare play, your chances of dying are very high. Possibly higher than if you're driving a car. They're very, very high. And one very clever group took all 37 plays and put it into one play about everything that had happened in the world of Shakespeare. So if I had to leave you with 4 things today that you need to know about speaking in public, that any teenager who wants to do in the future needs to know, it's your body language. Somebody like Obama comes onto stage and looks control, calm, and in charge. It's because he has learnt not to express his nervousness through his body. He has been in workshop after workshop after workshop, working on a skill that is culturally accepted as a talent, and again, you transfer the power to him. Your voice. You can shout to the people at the back that couldn't see Joanne. You can whisper. You can bring them in. You also need to be able to structure your speech. If you get up here and you're speaking in a way that isn't logical, people can't follow you. And ultimately, you have to engage. You have to treat it as a conversation. You have to smile. You have to have eye contact, and you draw people in. So as I said, a talent, that's what it's seen as, whether you believe that, and it's a talent. Control that it gives you to be in charge of things. What if, and remember now, I'm in control here. What if I said to the Technic, lights, and the lights came on? How many of you would come out here immediately and speak with me? Well, I see the smile. I see the faces going down. I see people I know going, if he takes me out there, I'm going to kill him. we don't have time for that, thankfully. But the people who could have come out, they would have been the people in control. The people who could have come out, no matter what they said, the rest of you would have sat there and said, I either agree, I don't agree, but they're out there and I'm here. So my goal is that no teenager passes through what I went through. I don't know how many, well, there should be a lot, actually, red-haired, academic, glassy-wearing, overweight gay teenagers at the moment. I'm sure they're out there. I don't want them to ever have to go through what I went through, any teenager. And I think it's very valuable for us as a society to ask ourselves, why is it a few people get access to these skills and the rest of us don't? And I would like to see that in the future, with the workshops we do, why is it not on a syllabus? I'd like to see that public speaking becomes no longer a talent of the few, but a skill of the many. I stay here, I come down.